One of the things that has led me to still being in business 10 years later is just that tenacity and grit of pushing through the hard things. That's the juicy stuff. Why? Because it's about the person and people want to connect with people. Just because it looks like a fun and shiny brand doesn't mean that there's not going to be significant, important issues that come up. Just passion, I loved it and I was driven by the passion. Over time, what I realised my secret sauce was this kind of convergence between...
You're listening to Beyond Growth with Rayan Fernando.
Kate, welcome to Beyond Growth. It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah. Oh, look, great to have you on and really looking forward to talking about all things digital marketing, but also in a world where I think everyone is a digital marketer. It's like, how do we cut through and find out a little bit more about what actually has the most impact for small businesses?
Yeah.
But before we go down multiple rabbit holes, I'm sure, I would love to just get your intro. Like, just give us your I guess your backstory and your origin story, as I like to call it. And how did you get to where you are today?
Okay. Well, it's been a long road. So I love that this is the Beyond Growth podcast because, there's been lots of themes of growth along the way.
Love it.
I started out in marketing as way back in the day before digital really truly existed in the format that we see today. So I did a degree in commerce, majored in marketing management and e-commerce management, which at the time was quite revolutionary. And I think the closest thing to e-com management we had was eBay in the sort of mid-2000s. And I worked in brand agencies, primarily graphic design, visual communications, and loved the power of visual storytelling. And then sort of around 2010, social media sort of hit Australia's shores. And I was like, what is this? This is so cool. I'd been on Facebook and seen that from a personal point of view and how powerful that was. But when Twitter arrived and seeing how it was the great leveler of humanity, no matter where you were in the globe, you could log on, have an account and reach anyone in those days. You could have direct conversations with thought leaders in America. And it blew my mind. And I just thought, that's where I have to go. I love this. So sort of decided to take a bit of a pivot towards social and move out of branding and visual communication. And that coincided with the getting pregnant for the first time and thinking, okay, this is like mat leave. This is my chance to kind of take a career pivot and go all in, which I think is a pretty familiar experience for a lot of women in business, particularly female business owners and entrepreneurs. Like, this story is super common. I have it with people all the time.
Yeah.
So that space of maternity leave gives you that opportunity to consider, like, what do I really want? How does my career look? How do I want my career to look moving forward? It's a real pivotal personal shift. Yeah. And so I thought, this is my chance. I'm going to start my own business and specialize in social. And at the time, social existed only as organic social. So there was no paid.
The good old days.
I call myself a digital dinosaur because I was there, at the inception of this stuff, which is really cool. It's also hard because it's changed so significantly and constantly is. Yep. But I just went all in. And so I was really fortunate to work with some big agencies on some really big accounts. Like Kmart and Cadbury.
Oh, cool.
And Kraft Philadelphia cream cheese, Kraft peanut butter, Peroni, Bulmers. So worked across like a lot of brands.
And that was all in the organic reach space.
In organic and community management. So on the coal face with the people. And I really just got to understand social from, the most purest form where you're directly there, being the face of the brand, bringing the brands to life as the human face in a natural and fun and professional way. And depending on what those brands were, they all had their different nuances. Cadbury was a particularly interesting one.
Yeah. How so?
If you want me to go into
Please
that.
do. A huge fan.
Yeah. Who isn't? No, it was a really interesting one because everyone goes, oh, yeah, you're working on a chocolate brand. Like, that must be so cool. But actually, Cadbury had two significant issues and probably still does, I would imagine, where it was a really tightly managed brand from an issues and reputation management point of view. Okay. The first being around palm oil and sustainability.
Yep.
So there was a lot of environmental activity on that account that we had to really consider and manage carefully. And the second was their halal certification.
Yep.
And so that became almost political in the people who couldn't understand the need for a brand to be halal certified.
Yeah.
So some really quite aggressive and often confronting activity on a chocolate brand that you would think would be fun and light and,
Yeah.
In some instances, people are just saying, bring back marble. I want marble. Where's the marble? But then the next you're getting confronted with quite graphic visual imagery of dying orangutans who have been cut out of trees in parts of the Amazon. So, it was really interesting, but it gave me a really heavy and kind of confronting but professional approach to like looking at brands online. So it's like, just because it looks like a fun and shiny brand doesn't mean that there's not going to be significant, important issues that come up and set the tone for developing strategies with reputation, crisis, issues management in mind.
That's unreal. And I guess, it's just that how do you balance, balancing that would be so difficult as well. Because you still need to still portray that fun and happy side of Cadbury, right? Like you can't be constantly on defense. With that, with regards to that, the organic days and where we are now, what was I guess the ROI conversation around that organic space? Because I feel like return on investment when it comes to anything digital marketing has changed quite a bit from those days to these days.
Yeah.
But I guess what were the brands looking for back then when it came to that sort of marketing presence and marketing activity?
From those corporate brands, it was definitely just around managing brand reputation and visibility, being at the forefront of the shiny and exciting platforms and making sure that, they were getting credibility and, maintaining consistency. There wasn't strong ROI metrics because it was very hard to measure. And particularly with D2C brands like, a chocolate bar where we're not measuring the through the line activity.
How can you actually?
So it's like a lot around brand awareness, reputation management, and the metrics would be, reach and engagement and those kind of metrics that now we would see a little bit as softer or only as peripheral metrics potentially to a campaign. I think for smaller businesses in those days, because it was emerging, it was a really strong lead gen tactic. So people were able to see that activity was actually generating leads, interest, particularly with service-based businesces because that was a lot of where I was working with at the time. Okay. So that was a little bit more tangible.
No, that's unreal. And I think it's, I don't know, I feel like now you go on Facebook, for example. I don't want to mention X. But you go on Facebook, but like you literally, you don't see your family or your friends anymore. And it's constantly like, oh, here's something you might be interested in.
Yes.
Anyway, we'll go and get into it, but that just frustrates the heck out of me because I used to connect with so many different people just through people's posts and what they've done. Give it a like, give it a comment. But now it's like every 1 in 5 is probably someone that you follow or you're actually connected with.
I know, it's sad that deep purpose of social media has changed.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, I used to upload, I used to get my digital camera and upload 125 photos of, my Saturday night out.
Yeah.
And be like, this is what we did.
Yep.
But that storytelling has certainly dissipated, I think, from the general punter. And brands have had to sort of capture that essence in the way that they communicate well through content.
Yeah, and I think it's funny, I see the memories in Facebook. And I definitely, it seems like I stopped doing it probably about 3, 4, 5 years ago was when I stopped doing like regular updates. It's great. It's great to see, here's a memory spike. But it's also funny to see back in like early days. It was text. It was like I had like so many text updates. It was like Twitter, right? But then I think that's the thing, whereas Facebook came in and it was kind of the one platform. There was, I think MySpace was on the way out or was already out. It came in, but it obviously had text. We didn't have the data to just be dropping photos to our phone back then, right? We just didn't. And then it went into photos. But I think the thing is then Facebook, then you had Instagram, then you had Twitter. So all of a sudden you were throwing photos here, text there, like, what I mean? I think it started splitting out, and then obviously split out even more with all the other ones like TikTok and then all the other digital communication we have, right? So it's just diluted, but at the same time, I like the old Facebook days. It was good.
And I think what happened that I think one of the probably coincides the intersecting points there between people that, the regular punters reducing their content was when Facebook dialed up priorities on company pages to try and bring in more brands into the market, and the algorithm lost its balance of what people actually wanted to see, and there was a real tug of war, I think, between people wanting to put content in because it wasn't being seen, and all you were seeing on Facebook was brand posts, and then paid started coming in and Meta got hungry.
Oh, yeah.
And then I actually think that they've got to a point where there is mostly a good balance between paid and brands and groups. And that's where a lot of people seem to migrate to now when they go to Facebook. Groups is still a very thriving part of the Facebook offering. But in the meantime, they've killed a lot of people's willingness to upload, and that people are being a bit more considered about what they post and their privacy, these kind of merging forces, aren't they, that all kind of...
Yeah. I mean, look, I think deep down, I know that all it's trying to do is keep your attention on the app for as long as possible.
Yeah.
And that irks me in every single way. Because then, I get it. I'm a WWE fan.
Yeah.
I'm a UFC fan, and I get a lot of that. But it just seems like that's all I get. I just get a lot of this stuff which just pops up, and you're like, oh man, I just want to see friends and family. But anyway, it's and then it's just trying to keep you there. It's just trying to keep you there. I mean, TikTok's done that really well.
Definitely.
But yeah, that's a lot more we can dig into that social side of things. But so obviously, just going back to your origin story, you're rising through Celsius Design there as well, building your way through and from account exec to acting GM, and then you started BuzzPop.
Yeah,
this got back in 2014 now, 10 plus years, with a rebrand along the way as well. But what made you go down that path of going, what gap did you see in the market? You go like, okay, I need to do this. And I know you said there was that pivotal line, obviously, going into maternity leave and making a decision. But what did you see that you could, what hole did you be able to fill in the market?
Yeah, at the time it was just passion. I loved it and I was driven by the passion. Over time, what I realized my secret sauce was this kind of convergence between a marketing brain, a commerce brain, so my business acumen, and the brand piece. And so layering the multi faceted approach to marketing became, I'm not just a social person, I'm actually a brand marketer, and I'm a commercial brand marketer because I actually want to make your marketing fit to your business strategy, not just come in and say, here's a shiny thing, like let's do a video. Let's actually understand what the business problem is and how are we going to solve that. And over time, with the evolution of marketing and the introduction of paid and, you know, the focus on funnels and all the elements, this just kind of makes my brain sing because, one, I can do the creative stuff, but two, I can measure it all in digital. And so that evolution of myself as a social media manager to, you know, a commercial brand marketer has been my way of sort of finding that niche in the market and being able to work really strategically with brands, bringing in the, you know, visual storytelling, building a brand. You know, this is not just a short, sharp campaign where we're going to get you 1,000 leads. This is about like we're collaborating together. We're working together over time. We're building a brand that also is smart and commercial and, you know, getting us results that we want along the way. Yeah. So it's been fun to work that out, but it's been a long time to, you know, to work it out and sort of understand, oh, this is what is different about me. It's kind of wasn't like I'm going to assess the market and see where I fit. I just have evolved to understand where I fit.
And was that the catalyst to the name change as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there was that shift between there was a disconnect between BuzzPop. I started as BuzzPop Social, quickly changed to BuzzPop Brands when I realized I needed to be more than just social. And then over time, as my client base evolved and I was working with bigger brands, there felt like there was this disconnect between my brand and the clients that I was working with. So at the time I was working with Deloitte and, you know, writing reports that were sitting on CEOs and head of partners' desks. And I was sort of embarrassed about how my reports sat on their desk. Yeah. And so when I did the extensive rebrand work and looked at, you know, what is it that we do? How do we work with people? Like what BuzzPop says nothing. I want people to see our brand name and sort of just go, made great. Okay, that's what they do. Like I want that. I want to be a part of that. It sort of has that emotional buy-in, I think.
Absolutely, yeah.
When I landed on that name and then briefed the designer, I was just like, this brand has to sit on a CEO's desk. Yeah. Like that is what we're here for. Like I do work with small businesses and love the passion and the potential that we can achieve with small businesses because you can make a big difference in a short amount of time with a small business. But this brand also has to be commercial and corporate and, you know, I need to be able to play with the big guys. Yeah. And it's worked. Like I've been able to, continue the work with Deloitte and, you know, we secured a community management contract with Australian Super. Oh, cool. So I've gone from being the community manager to running a team of community managers in a very highly regulated and robust industry. And, you know, we have gone up against massive agencies, you know, with teams of 20 community managers to offer really bespoke, really high quality community management. Yeah, and so awesome. That evolution of the brand, you know, that was worthwhile.
That's awesome.
Tried and tested.
Yeah, well done. And I think it's look, I love the name. And it was I think one of those things where it's nice to be able to go, okay, it's time to pivot. And obviously you're doing exactly the same thing, but it just how important that brand is, right? Yeah. In regards to how you show up in the marketplace, and then aligning yourself with the target market you want to be playing with as well. But also it works with both, right? Obviously, like you said, it works with small business and it works in the higher end. So it's a good choice.
Yeah. I think that one of the things that has more recently jarred with me, and I don't know if this has come to mind with you at all, and no one has explicitly said it to me, but there's this little seed in the back of my mind about Make America Great Again. And
I didn't want to bring it up. Yeah. I'm glad you did.
No one has said it. And I'm like, I feel quite uncomfortable about that loose connection, but I feel somewhat comforted that it's sort of been rebranded as MAGA and they sort of sit over there as MAGA.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd love to hear your feedback.
No, look, it's yeah, I was thinking that during the whole time you were talking. Just, I guess, that connection is there. I think it's going to always be natural because it is front and center. Oh, not so much now, but it was definitely front and center a couple of years ago, right? But I don't know. I think we can see past that. And it's missing a couple of extra letters, so we're good.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And so, I mean, I haven't touched on it. I just don't go there. I ignore it. No one's, like I said, it's never been given feedback.
No.
And I would be very happy, in my authentic community manager, be true as a brand. Like I would be always happy to address it and just be like, it's an interesting coincidence, but there is absolutely no correlation.
No, I didn't think so either. But no, but it's. I'm glad you brought it. I was thinking it, and I knew exactly where you're going.
Yeah. Okay, I was like, I hope you're not gonna.
No. And look, it's. I guess. Obviously, working for big agencies and doing that stuff in the past is really big. And you sort of mentioned growing up that you pretended and played a CEO role. Like that was your playtime, rotary phone, making the calls, carbon copy paper, like actually doing
literally
running a
copy.
business, right? And I suppose what's that been like? Because I think there's this, you get this, you started this business, but then you got to surround yourself with people that see the vision, see where you want to go. But talk us through that journey, because I think it's one thing from a client delivery and service delivery point of view, but then it's just how do you build those people around you? Because it's amazing how many people, how well you grow with the right people around you.
Yeah, I certainly think when I went into business, I did it very naively. I'm sure that there's
I think
people,
a lot of people do.
Yeah, I'm sure there's people listening nodding their heads right now. But I think that one of the things that has led me to still being in business 10 years later is just that tenacity and grit of pushing through the hard things. Certainly the joys of the carbon copy paper and the answering the phone, they are still there. I love answering the phone and talking to people. It's like the biggest joy. The admin and bookkeeping and BAS statements that I now very happily outsource to my bookkeeper is that was a wonderful day in business when I realized that I didn't actually need to do all the things. And so that journey of discovering the right people to support me as a leader in business has been really cool. I'm so fortunate. I have a brilliant bookkeeper. I have a brilliant accountant. I have a brilliant business coach. And adding them at key points along the way has been, just so pivotal to my own sanity. I think knowing that you can't do it all is liberating.
Yeah.
It's so liberating and actually saying, I'm not best placed to do this. This is not the best use of my time is a very liberating thing. And I see that when clients come to us because they're going, why am I wasting all this time, digging in the back end of Google Ads when I could just outsource that to someone? So, but, along the way, you have to sort of go through some experiences to find those right people. So certainly the most remarkable one I would say was finding my first business coach, my first official coach.
Yeah.
And I had sort of stalked a lot of coaches online for at least a year. Dipped my toe in the water with some. And for me, what I found that I really needed was someone who could see me as a person in my business, not just see a leader who needs coaching and this is the tactics for that leader.
Yep.
So it was it was almost like finding a new partner in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I've been really fortunate with that from a me scaffolding point of view. And a VA, my VA. I forgot about Mariana. How could I forget Mariana? But that was also another liberating moment of what do I need? I need someone to help me with this stuff and look after me in business, not just me looking after my staff and team.
That's awesome.
So I think if all business owners we all need a team around us, and whatever that looks like for different people, whether it's VA or coaching or accounting and admin support. Yeah, finding your right team around you as the leader is just a gift to yourself.
I totally agree, and I think the that ability for a leader to let go as well is really important because you can it slows you down. It's like if you try to do the finance, if you try the accounting, and you're trying to read a bunch of books, try and coach yourself, and do all those things, it just slows you down. So that's awesome to be able to do that.
Who do you have in your business looking after you?
At the moment, no one. And that's something while you're talking, because I did try a VA, wasn't quite the right person, and that's fine. I've dipped my toes, and I think the more I work through it, the more I see what I do is I just need someone digitally capable of doing things.
Yeah.
Because the stuff I'm good at but I don't like doing is I can put the podcast together, I can create the videos, I can do the shorts, I can update the website, I can do all that stuff. And that's all busy work. But if I can get someone to do that piece is, and I'm actually working through a few things at the moment with that.
Yeah, good.
Trialing fill out. Because that's the bit where I love this conversation.
Yeah.
But I just want to be like, here's the files. And I know that it's going to be cut. It's going to be put on Spotify. It's going to be updated on the website. 5 reels are going to go onto the socials. And then boom.
Yes.
Like that's the system I want. So in my head, I know what the system I want. I just got to find the right person. But that you can't rush into that either. But it's important. I'm looking forward to that too, because that's the bit where then especially this podcasting stuff becomes even more fun.
Yeah.
Because you're not thinking about I've got to do X, Y, Z.
Exactly. And just because you haven't found the right one yet doesn't mean that they're not there. Sometimes you just have to try a few out, and
that's it.
Yeah.
And I tried someone that just weren't. Just not digitally capable at all. So I'm like, oh no, it just didn't work. And that's okay. She was a lovely person.
Yeah.
And look, it's good. And I think from a growing point of view, every leader, I think having a business coach, having that mentor, having that ability to actually speak to someone is really important. But I'm glad you did a bit of stalking before you picked one too, because you can sort of, because there's so many out there from a coaching point of view.
Definitely.
So it's important to find the right one that fits you ultimately.
Yeah, it is. It's like choosing a partner. Like I said, you've got it's not one size fits all, and that gel and trust and ability to be vulnerable, because you need to be able to be really yourself for better or worse to be able to get the best out of it. There's been plenty of conversations that I've been in tears with my coach, just losing it. And, I know that I'm in a safe pair of hands.
Yeah.
And I think that, whatever that vulnerability is for anyone, knowing that, you're okay with them is good.
I think, if you can't be open and honest with someone, then they're not the right fit. Just give me 30 seconds. If you're based in Geelong and you're looking to connect, grow, and be a part of a supportive business community, you need to check out the Geelong Chamber of Commerce. When I started my first business, the Chamber had a great impact on my growth. And now with my new business, it continues to play a big part in helping me grow. I believe in it so much that I'm now on the board. So if you're running a business in Geelong, I can't recommend joining enough. Find out more by heading to geelongchamber.com.au. Now back to the show. Going through that, obviously working your way through and obviously made great, and working your way from what you deliver to your client's point of view. What's the, I guess, what are the couple of key things that you've sort of taken away? What's now your, I don't want to give you a magic sauce away or magic recipe away, but like what do you now, what are the key things you look at when you start working with the client? Maybe so let's start like small business. What are the things you sort of focus on?
Well, one of the things that I've gotten really clear on just recently is how our values as an organisation has become our process. So I've always been really values driven and making sure that the organisations that we're partnering with aligned at a values level. When it comes to agency relationships, they can at times be tricky with client, depending on the perception of the agency responsibilities, and the client. It can be sticky. I like to see us go in as partners, as equal partners, and make sure that, we're bringing our expertise in our areas of speciality, just as our clients are the experts in their areas. And if we partner together, then, we're greater than the sum of our parts.
Yeah.
And if there isn't that values alignment and we're not seen as equal partners, that's when things can go not be as successful as they could be if we worked really closely together. So being that extension of our clients' internal teams, like sitting in meetings, in the important meetings, knowing the numbers, not just smoke and mirrors and working in isolation is really important. And so that values piece has always been right at the forefront. But now I've come to realize that our values really are our process. So, it is, our values are in our strategy, in our collaboration, in our execution. So finding clients that have that similar alignment is the key to that successful relationship. Yeah. And so, always starting with strategy and being willing to have clients who are willing to get it right, like understand what we're doing, spend the time to put it down on paper, to workshop ideas, to understand problems, not just from a marketing perspective, but the business as well, and then identify the areas that we need to improve before we go live with any external activity, and be willing to partner with us, like I said, on a long-term perspective, not just like, we might do something for 3 months, and see how it goes. Because often we're trying to turn a needle in a fairly significant way. Someone might come to us with, I need ads, but then, we look at their website and their website is not really there, or there's no landing page. And so we need to actually understand, well, where are the ads going, and what happens when someone does fill in a lead form? Where does that email address go, and what happens there? So that through the line strategy is really important. And that's been, I think that's a great thing for people to think more about. Sometimes we'll get people that say, we're just not quite ready yet because there's too many ducks that have to line up. Absolutely.
And I sort of, that transactional sort of conversations doesn't always end well. It's like you said, especially when there's like, if you can turn on $1,000 worth of ads a week, but if your website's not there to convert it, then you're just throwing money away, aren't you?
Exactly. And I'm setting us both up to fail if I don't be authentic and real and call it and say, and I think that's what gives some agencies, or gives agencies in general, a bad name, because there's plenty of people out there who would be willing to who are willing to say, come on, let's do $1,000 on Google Ads, and it didn't work at the end of the 3 months, then see you later.
Yeah.
Whereas I just don't think that's the right approach, because I always like to spend ad money like it's our own money, like I don't want to take anyone's money without knowing that I can use it wisely. Yeah.
And now that you can measure it too, ultimately, you can see all the way from ad showing up to click to purchase, and you actually get this, revenue back. So with that sort of advertising, what sort of multiplier are you looking from an ad spend point of view? What's the I guess the industry average or best in class, would you say?
It does. There is nuance across industry, and you can get more specific benchmarks, you know, if you Google your industry in Australia.
Yeah.
But if we're looking for like 2 to 3% return on
Yeah.
investment as a general blanket.
Mm.
But, you know, we have clients that have 4 and 5. You know, it really depends on the industry and
The cost of the goods, the
correct.
margins. Yeah. Okay.
How also, what are you willing to invest? So do you have a $10,000 product or service versus a $5 product or service, you know, that you can be getting volume versus, you know, quality versus quantity? Are we getting, you know, high turnover, or are we going for longitudinal,
Yeah.
you know, ROI? So if you've got a higher value course, then you might be willing to spend $500 to get a lead or sale versus, you know, a $20 product that you can't afford to spend that much.
And I like the Google ads. You know, obviously the pricing models seem to match the value as well.
Yeah.
'Cause, it's if you're competing for something low value, if the ads are double the price, it just makes no sense.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And that demand in market as well. So keywords based on, you know, a generic keyword versus something that's more unique. It's cheaper to bid on those like less popular keywords because of the auction system. So being smart about, again, that's that strategy piece and research piece that we always look into about if we're selling microphones, then that's going to be a heavily contested microphone keyword for us to bid on. So let's look around some peripheral keywords to get you better bang for buck.
Yeah.
If particularly when we're growing and sort of establishing our trust and and effectiveness as an agency, you don't want to just like go hard on the biggest keyword and
that's it. Yeah, $1,000 disappears very quickly
today.
Yeah. And it costs us $50. Yeah. No, that's awesome. And it's something that so my wife has an online business selling stuff, and just things we're delving into at the moment as well. It's quite interesting seeing all that eventuate as well. But and yeah, how highly contested it. And one thing I had come across the other day was that keyword search thing. So searching for a business that I was speaking to, and seeing somebody else jump on that as an ad, but actually have the client, the person's name as the landing page, and I'm like, oh, that's sneaky.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, seeing that sort of stuff where you're like, yeah, I mean, I understand because you always see that. So I mean, you always see, and you see that now that obviously big brands do that a lot. They'll pay the highest bid to make sure that when you search for Amazon, for example, it'll show up right at the top there, right? Because they've got the dollars there to do it. But then you see it, like seeing it at a smaller level, but someone just like pretty much pretending to be another business. I don't think that's cool.
I agree. I find it really hard as a little agency. Digital marketing agency is the perfect example, because if you search digital marketing agency Geelong, the top sponsored ads are agencies that aren't in Geelong.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
And they have headquarters in Western Australia or Queensland, and they've just gone through their whole strategy is around single pages optimized to Geelong. And it's or Wollongong or Coffs Harbour or, you know, Warrnambool. And that just kind of sucks for the little guys. Like, I get it, but, you know, let us live.
Yeah. there's plenty out there.
But but it's tricky. Like when brands are looking at doing that sort of competitor keyword hijacking, Google does know that is a tactic now. And so that page that you're being sent to needs to align to that keyword. So if I wanted to bid on one of my competitors' keywords, I would need to make sure that the page that I'm sending the traffic to is optimized with my competitor's name. So I would have to be very really specific in that content there.
Yeah.
And is that a strategy that you want to do? Is that I don't think that is operating with integrity.
No, and that was the thing. So this particular one was in the finance world, and for me, doing the search, and it wasn't like a generic name either. So it was a very specific name.
Yeah.
And then the fact that, they had a page entitled with that business's name. And I guess where I'm coming from is that if you want to deal with someone in the finance sector and you want to deal with someone with integrity and trust, and then you've seen this sort of tactics happening, you're like, it's just not healthy, right? Not good.
Yeah. The only way that I've seen it that I think could be potentially okay is in a product-based application. A lot of the software as a service companies do it, like Monday.com versus Asana.
Yeah.
So where they're offering a very similar software model and people would be looking at multiple tools and sort of trying to compare. And I think Monday.com do it and literally say Monday.com is better than Asana. In their Google ad headline. Yeah. Because that's what often people are typing. And I kind of think that in that instance, like, I understand it.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of service-based businesses, I don't like that at all.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I'm with you. I think that trust and integrity piece is a bit off for service-based businesses.
It is. And I suppose one thing I think about is I come across a few businesses now that don't tend to give their digital image much attention. And I find I can't comprehend it. So it's like, I mean, it's just like established businesses, they'd like just ignore that stuff. And you're like, but why? Do you ever come across that? Because I feel like it's when I see something, I'm like, oh, their website's old and they're doing all right as a business, but their LinkedIn's not doing much work. The socials aren't doing anything. It's like, wow. It's like, but I guess there's a few industries that, I mean, look, I'm generalizing, but it always surprises me when I see someone that isn't capitalizing. I guess that's where the key thing, capitalizing on that digital imprint or footprint they have.
Yes, I still see it.
You do? Okay.
I do.
Yeah.
You're not alone. And I was actually having a conversation with someone yesterday who is in traditional media and they are selling print advertising, and they still have people that come to them that don't have websites. It's primarily, I would say, at a local level in micro businesses, trade-based businesses.
Definitely trade, yeah.
And also some healthcare businesses, I think, with allied health organisations that are limited by advertising. It's almost like the digital presence makes them a bit fearful, and they've been able to grow their businesses based on referrals, word of mouth. In a place like Geelong, that's very lucrative. Trust of our community is so powerful. And so because they've been able to grow successfully, it's kind of like,
why?
We don't really need that. But I mean, I still see people that don't have any social media presence.
Yeah. Okay. It's. I mean, look, it's everyone's got their reasons. But I think the way I come from, the way I look at it is, what worked maybe to get you here may not get you there. And specifically see the shift in the market where, we had a period of easy cash or cheap cash and people spent a lot of money. And then obviously we went through a lot of stuff for the last, especially Victoria, right? So I'd see this in sort of some couple of more trades where they were leveraged the fact that they had referrals, a lot of these good big contracts, and they dropped, but because they didn't do anything else, they just had nothing. There was no other income coming in. And now they're just like, oh, what do we do? And now it's like too late to start because all the other people in that industry have done what, not all, but most have done what they need to do in that space. So that's the bit where our concern is like, if you can do it and you've got budget, like it's worth doing it just to purely create that. Because business changes, over 10 years, like where your clients come from can be very different.
Absolutely. And as we all know, over the last 5 years, there's been, significant
massive
external market forces that are well and truly out of all of our control. And I think, the trade-based businesses, they certainly rode the highs of COVID, but many of them, and the post-COVID government cash injections,
Yep.
And, now it's like, oh, this whole landscape is completely different to 2019.
And the ones doing well are the ones that were active in those spaces.
Yeah.
And it's, I guess it's more of a lesson learned thing, but also something to consider that, just because if you're doing well now, it doesn't mean, things are going to change in the industry. And especially with, I guess, the things that are coming in our way, which is in the lines of AI, for example, things are shifting again. And at a speed, and this is the bit that I know we talked about AI before we start recording, so I just I finally got to it. It's good, but I think my thing with AI is that everything's happening in AI is happening so quickly, as we know. But that's everything technology, fair enough. And they always compare that to like, when we had computers, when we had the internet. But the difference is when something happens now with AI, back in the day, you had to deal with slow internet speeds. Not everyone could have a computer, that kind of stuff. Like it took a while for this to spread. Whereas now, like if something new comes up with AI, everyone around the world has access to it immediately. And there's no barriers to entry, right? And that's changing business. That is for good, for better or the worse, but it is changing things, right?
Absolutely. I had a conversation this week with a new client about SEO.
Yeah.
And they were a business that had built their entire, she's been in business for 7 years, I think, entire business built on organic search and word of mouth reputation. Since September, she's seen an 80% decline in her conversions on her website.
Wow.
Because of generative AI into search.
Yeah.
So because her whole model was SEO based and, being top of page for Google, that's changed the complete landscape of how people are interacting with her website. She's still getting clicks, but the conversions are right down. And so it's remarkable just how quickly, like you said, that shift has occurred.
Yeah.
And these models that we have all, invested heavily in, and just like, the builders that didn't need to do the lead gen, or any kind of advertising because they were booked out for 2 years in advance during COVID. Now you've got other businesses that were like, we don't need to do paid, or we don't need to do any kind of lead gen activity because we get it all through organic search.
Yeah.
It's flipped on its head. And so even for early adopting technologists such as myself, we are all still and yourself, we're all working it out too, right?
Yeah.
Like, so collectively the world is working this out and having to work it out quickly together.
Absolutely. And that's exactly my point. Like, it's just how quick, and you just got to be like I've said this before in a previous podcast where I feel like I'm out of date, or I've lost touch with what's happening in AI, like literally within a day or something.
Yeah.
I've just been like, oh yeah, cool. Kind of get the landscape, and I love everything in this space and talking about it. But then how quickly I go like, oh, that was so last week, right?
Yeah.
This is what we're doing now, and that's frightening. And then especially for business, and that example's amazing, right? That's the next thing.
Yes.
It's like, okay, all these things you relied on are shifting. And everyone talks about, hey, how do you make your website more attractive to AI? When people the worst thing is I'm doing it now. I'm actually doing searches in ChatGPT.
Yes.
And because rather than you going to 5 different websites, you can put a prompt in that goes and finds the people you need, and if they've got the right data, they come in there.
And how do you find that? Like, how are you finding the value that chat is delivering to you? So if you're searching for a digital marketing agency in Geelong, like are you finding that the results that you get from those searches in chat are good? Like,
yeah, I mean, they're good. And I think the other thing too is you can you use it like a VA, right? So you sort of say, hey, I'm looking for a marketing agency based out of Geelong, and that's works in this kind of field or specializes here, whatever it is. Can you just give me a few options and tell me why they're great? And it goes out and gives you these lists, right? And I'm obviously using marketing agency as an example. I've done that in a couple of different things, and it's quite interesting that it kind of goes through and goes like, oh, yep, these are the people you should speak to, and this is why, and here's the reference thing. So you get a little bit deeper research without necessarily spending the time of going like, oh, okay, who's the owner, and because you can sort of say, okay, and do things like and spread your search, like go and look for other corresponding information, look for reviews out there that are negative, positive, try and give us an idea. So all of a sudden you can sort of ask for more. And that's what I do generally when I'm going to purchase something. I will just check the reviews, see what they're doing. So quicker, but also frightening.
Yeah, I know. I did it for myself. I tested it to see what would happen if I searched digital marketing agency Geelong, and Made Great didn't come up.
Yeah.
And so I was like, what about Made Great? Have you thought about Made Great? And, then it's like, well, Made Great is an excellent agency or whatever it was saying. But I think that those kind of tests to do, like to thrash it out for your own business is really important.
Absolutely.
Understand it's kind of like, the old Googling yourself.
Yeah.
What happens if you Google yourself? Well, what happens if you ChatGPT yourself?
Yeah.
Like find that out.
Actually, that's such a good tip.
And and then, I was really keen to understand the businesses that it did bring up. Why do you recommend those businesses? And then understand like what would I want it to deliver, like when would I want it to deliver me, Made Great, to set people's searches. So start working on that kind of content on the website.
Absolutely. And the good thing is you can just ask ChatGPT.
Correct.
It's like, hey, I didn't come up on this. I do X, Y, Z. What do I need to do? Check my website out. And I use a thing called have you heard of Cintra?
No.
So Cintra is another agent. Like you get micro agents within this thing. So it's not a ChatGPT, but its own little thing. Ultimately, it's just it has an SEO agent that you go to this website. Tell me what I need to fix.
Wow, that's cool.
I know. And it's ridiculous.
This is where you're like, oh, I feel so dumb, like there's all these things that exist and it's how do you even find this out unless you have conversations with people and
yeah. Oh, yeah. And I feel my concern is my knowledge with all this, because back in the day I would do research on SEO, for example, and work out what I need to do, where I need to put the things, what I need to say, and then test and things like that. But now it just seems like, you just sort of kind of just do the prompt. What do I need to fix?
Yeah.
This is what I want to try and achieve. What do I need to do? And it just gives you this plan. You're like, oh, cool. Now that's knowledge is one part of it. That's my self stuff. And that's and again, it frees me up to do other stuff. So it's not a bad thing as well. But the concern is then, people that actually do that as a service.
Yes.
What's happening to them?
What is happening to them?
Because you just sort of, you question, well, I can do this myself. There's certain, I'm one of this from a tech point of view, there's certain things I'll just do myself. It's my issue. This is my issue with trying to find a VA, or I'll find some sort of system, because I can do everything myself, but it just, I don't have the time.
Should you do everything yourself?
Yes, which I don't. I shouldn't. I should be delegating more. But that's what 2026 is all about. I'm excited. I'm excited about it. But yeah, it's just that. Yeah, what happens to those businesses, right? Because like small SEO agencies or do SEO, like it becomes one of those things where people can just do it themselves.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a leveler in a little bit in the same way that social media was a leveler in the beginning. But then I think that there will still be a time where you don't have, not a time, but there'll still be a moment where you don't have enough time to do all the things. So you're still going to need people that are working for you supporting you in some capacity, because you're going to be busier and doing other things. That's what I think. Yeah. I'm optimistic about that.
Oh, sorry, you were saying that in my head. I'm like, until the AI agents do.
Yeah, the independently. True. Well, I was at a finance and economic growth breakfast earlier this week, and they were talking about AI, and there is some newer modeling coming in that suggests that whilst there is going to be a segment of the workforce that will be absorbed by the robots, that there's going to be an enormous
absorbed by the robots.
I know that's
frightening.
There's a clip for you. That there are going to be enormous growth. Like we can't imagine what the new the future of work looks like, and these other industries or opportunities, and that will open up. That will be greater than what we can see right now.
And I think that's, I listen to, like I said, I'm fascinated with AI, and I listen to a lot of podcasts that go deep into those topics. But that seems to be the common thread.
Yeah.
No one can see beyond the horizon when it comes to AI. We don't know what around the corner. So we sort of, and because we're literally driving at it, but the corner keeps becoming a corner the whole time. You just don't know where you're going, right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. There's the huge advances in what we can achieve. But it's just still scary.
It is. It's still scary. I was certainly in the scary, very scared corner at the start of the year.
Yeah.
And I think,
Same.
I was terrified. Like, what does the world look like? Particularly for my children.
Same.
Yeah.
Like, what do you like? I had this conversation with George on the one of my guests on the weekend where it's like, what do you tell your kids to do when they grow up?
Yeah.
Like they're about to. My son starts high school in a year and a half or a year and a bit, and I'm like, it's like, what do I do? What should I do? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, our eldest must be the same age because my eldest is in grade 5 too.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So grade 6 next year.
Yeah. So, I had this I have a client who we've been embedding AI into their tech platform, working on this project for the last year and a bit. And I sat with their CEO, their lead developer, and the project manager earlier this year and said, you guys have kids, 5, 8 years older than mine. Tell me what you're telling them to do after high school. And they all said, become a tradie.
Yeah.
And I was just so depressed after that.
Yeah.
Because we can't all be tradies. Like we can't just build houses or, cut hair. There's got to be more to this than, I think that was in my scared phase.
Yeah.
There's got to be more to this. There's got to be like optimism. So I have 2 daughters and I have been passionately advocating for them to become women in STEM.
Yeah.
They're not really keen on that. They are kind of like creative and artsy and so I don't know. I think what do we tell our kids? We just have to like go with it, and
I think we do.
And layer our lived experience with and our early adopting perception of the world and technology into seeing what is coming, because we probably will see it more than others being in the industries that we're in and being interested in it.
Yeah, that's it. I think it's I don't know. I struggle, and I think it's like, the trading thing is common. So I think it was the founder of OpenAI. That was one of his things. They become a plumber. Like that was his off the cuff, serious but joking way, but just
funny, not funny.
Yeah, but like you said though, we can't all be plumbers, and it's like we're heading into a world of being a generalist but at the same time we still need those specialists. We still need people at the cutting edge in certain areas, right? So it's a tough one, but you just got to go with it.
And I think you just said something there, like you said, we still need people who are specialists, but I think even one step back from that is we still need people.
Yeah.
And human interaction and human connection is more important than ever.
Yeah.
And I see this as the way through now, through my dark times, being fearful of AI. I see that, kind of linking back, to the early days of my career and being the face of the brand on the internet, talking as Cadbury or Kmart on the front line to people who are interacting with brands. That was, bringing humanity to a brand. I think moving forward, just being the human is going to be the most powerful thing. And whilst there are AI technology and generative functionality to duplicate our voices and, what's it called? Avatar your faces and create videos, independently of us being authentic. I think the interaction and the need for human interaction, particularly in business, is not going to go away. And so we need to figure out a way to sort of strip it back and be real and have conversations exactly like this one. I think this is going to be the way of the future.
I totally agree, and I think I think people will be looking for that authenticity, the uniqueness, the spontaneousness of the way we are. So I mean, I think and that's I did a little talk into grade 5, 6s about AI and tech, and that was kind of that was the messaging was like work on how well you connect with the people and how you interact with people, because that's kind of, like you said, that ultimate thing you need is to be able to go, okay, I can deal with that human connection because that human connection is so important. But then my converse concern for that is we're bringing up kids in a world where they're disconnected, and that's the fear. But then, I mean, okay, there's going to be a bunch of kids that are really good at it, and then a bunch of kids just struggle with it. But yeah, so that's the other thing. It's like how much we, you sort of see this. I drive past like school drop-off times or whatever at a bus stop, and it's 5 or 6 kids, all head down, looking at the phones.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I remember high school, back when I was in high school in the 90s, no telephones, nothing. And just how much you just would be just chatting to random people.
Yeah. Being
silly, or you just have that one person you chatted to, right?
Yeah.
So just we're connected, but we're disconnected, which is, it's, I don't see that going away in a hurry. If anything, especially with all these social media platforms trying to just drag us back in to the devices.
I think we are at this is a bit more of a personal kind of divergence. We're at an interesting time with our kids' age and the impending social media ban, because I suspect that, there's a generation of kids who have had smartphones ahead of our children.
Yeah.
And social media and fairly liberal access to that technology. But then I feel like we are right on the cusp of a new generation where the social media ban that comes into place this month, I think, whilst kids will always find a loophole or a way around it, it's not necessarily going to negate access completely. I think it will actually empower a lot of parents to limit smartphone use and be more confident that they could give their kids a dumb phone at the start of year 7 and their kids aren't going to be excluded from conversations. Because I've had a lot of conversations with parents around whose children are older than mine, because I want to learn from what are you doing? How are you doing this? How are you navigating this? I don't know what I'm going to do when it gets to that point. And there's 2 schools of thought. One is just like they can have a smartphone when they're in year 7 and they can have Snapchat and whatever else. It is what it is. And the others are frightened, don't want to give it to them, but so terrified that they're going to exclude their kids from community and connection.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping, this is my hope, that this ban will allow parents to be more confident that kids don't need that, 24/7 access to the internet, and dumb phones will become more trendy.
Bring back the Nokia 3310, I think I had.
Snake. Bring it back. It was so good. I mean, and that's really what kids need.
And indestructible too.
Yep. The brick.
The bricks. Look, that's, and I'm just looking at the way my son uses tech. He goes for bike rides with his friends, and he's 11 now, and we sort of we have a phone that he just carries just when he rides his bike, so we know where he's at, because we don't want to give him he doesn't wear watches. It's just not his thing. But it's interesting, even though he has that, he knows it's just for rides and he just puts it away.
Yeah.
But I think there's nuances to this, is where there's smartphone, and I think we don't need to necessarily give them a dumb phone, but it's just not letting them get on definitely not Snap. Well, definitely not Snap. Definitely not X. Actually, not any socials. Like the amount of times like every social media platform now just can take in the wrong direction.
Anything that's algorithm driven.
Yeah, absolutely. You just pause for the 1 minute. Oh, sorry. 3 seconds longer than on one thing. You're going to get more of that, more of that, and more of that. But and X is just the Wild West.
Oh,
that is just the stuff that comes up there. You're like, okay, this shouldn't be on anything.
no,
let alone a social media platform. So, so I think that's where things like, I mean, you can have a smartphone. He has Messenger with his mates.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of chat. He speaks a lot. He's connected heavily with his mates, which is good. And they play Roblox and all that stuff. Gosh. And they take it really seriously.
Yeah.
The graphics do my head in. But anyway, that's besides the point. But I think, it's just that how do you keep them away from socials? Because that's the bit I got it when I was, like, we got our socials, like late 2000, like 2008. Yeah, so, and I'm like, and I'm still addicted.
Exactly.
To the point where, like, I'm start deleting stuff. And, like, I mean, I'm, in a way, I'm kind of glad Facebook sucks now. Because, you're just like, oh, well, this just sucks, and I don't do as much posting and anything else but LinkedIn now. And LinkedIn is just, it's LinkedIn. It's almost like a refuge of social media. There's a lot of people yelling.
Yes.
But it's still good. But so it's, hopefully.
Yeah. I feel like we have to be optimistic about it. And I think that digital literacy is, greater than it ever has been before. Schools are more on top of stuff like this,
And schools are winding back too.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is...
I mean, this is why I think I feel hopeful. Our school was the first, my daughter was the first year level at my school to stop bring your own devices.
Yeah.
And she was gutted that she wasn't going to get her own iPad because, everyone got an iPad in grade 3. But our school decided that cohort would be the first one that they would pause. So that's been fantastic for our family. We haven't had to navigate. We have an iPad at home and we have a home phone, which is an old phone that has credit on it that we can call if we go out or if they go bike riding or to the shops, they can put it in their bag. But that delineation between devices and it being a family device versus like, this is my iPad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've been really fortunate in that regard.
Sorry, it just reminded me of the back in the day of the 20-meter extension cord to get from the family phone to the modem to dial up on internet. Oh man, good old days.
No, these things our children will never understand.
And the nostalgic feeling when you hear that modem ring sounds. My God,
I know the excitement
and
anticipation of logging onto the World Wide Web
and how slow it was.
Yeah.
But look, I think
we digress. Sorry.
Oh no, but that's fine. I think it's part of where we're heading, and it's worth talking about. One thing I did want to talk about though, in that sort of leadership brand revolution side of things, is the strategic leadership profile concept that you talk about. And I think that's I mean, I'll let you explain it, but I like I sort of I really agree with that sort of how important it is. That there's brand conversation, but there's actually leaders in that brand speaking as well. But talk us through that.
Yeah, so strategic leadership profiling was a concept born out of organically working with Deloitte actually during COVID, when their partners weren't able to go out and network directly with their communities, and we needed to kind of align the overall business objectives, but deliver it through leadership channels, individual leader channels, because a big brand like Deloitte has pretty heavy marketing guidelines and in central marketing team, they only deliver messages through campaign level, and we needed to be really agile and responsive to the market and the environment that we were working in. So we developed this, and with a lot of research through the Edelman Trust Barometer and understanding how people respond to messages that come from individuals versus how they come from corporate channels, you get about 8 times the amount of trust from an individual. So how powerful it is to have leaders in organisations delivering messages, direct to camera or through thought leadership blogs or, just general LinkedIn posting. Was so much more powerful than a branded campaign would have been for us to run through corporate channels. And so we worked on this program, developed it over a course of 2.5 years, and I realized this is brilliant. Why aren't more organizations doing this? We need to be empowering leaders to tell their own authentic stories, that are about themselves, but also the work that they do and how that helps. And people respond to people, humans want to talk to humans. And so this was in COVID, I guess when our ability to connect was physically limited. Now it's more relevant than ever with, the AI discussion and how do we stand out? We still want to be human. So strategic leadership profiling, we developed courses for executives and have successfully delivered that through to executive teams for corporate businesses, but it also works for individual leaders as well. So small businesses who, just might have 1 or 2 owners that, want to tell the story. The authentic story comes from them, not their not necessarily just their product or service.
No, I think it's, and I mean, you talk about Deloitte, and that's obviously large corporation, but I think even for a small business, like you said, 1 or 2 owners, because you see this, right? So you see it on LinkedIn from a reach point of view, and I see this from when I post something on LinkedIn. If it's something EOS branded and purely EOS, trips down. Soon as it's me talking or with someone, or it's got a photo of me with something different, completely different. And that's at a smaller scale, right?
Absolutely.
But that's,
exactly. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so powerful. And that's not just algorithm either. That's literally just people's interest.
Yeah.
They see something brand, they go like, okay, cool. They're just banging on about EOS again.
Yes.
Whereas, if it's me talking, much more powerful.
Yeah. It's always the posts where you're with other people at an event, having a celebration, have won an award or have got a work milestone or got a new job. That's all the content that performs the best on it. That's the juicy stuff. Why? Because it's about the person, and people want to connect with people.
So what are your tips for, I guess, I mean, large corporations aside, the sort of mum-dad businesses, or even, I just look at a small IT firm we got here in Geelong. There's a few leaders there could probably speak to, or any business has got a couple of leaders that, on LinkedIn and can be active. What are your tips for kicking something like that off?
I think people just have to understand or appreciate that people want to see people. And so what I mean by that is, I think a lot of people get a bit scared to step outside from behind, the safe facade of their IT business, optometry business, trade business, whatever it is, and put themselves forward. There's, I think culturally in Australia, we're not great at that. There is a bit of the tall poppy kind of thing. But as leaders in a business, we are the ones that sell the business. So whether it's you or me, we have to be able to go out and talk to people and have conversations as business owners. So being able to step outside of, our safe desk, pop ourselves in front of the camera, or, write a post, it's no different than meeting someone for a coffee. It's just on the internet. And sort of creating a bit of a disconnect between the idea of how you think you're going to be perceived and just doing it is important. Just pop your ego aside for a little minute and just...
I think it's ego, but it's also just the keyboard warriors, right? And I'm thankful that LinkedIn doesn't have what Facebook has.
Yeah.
The amount of times I just read the comments, stay around for the comments section. It's just, it's as humanity is quite terrible, really. Just the stuff you're like, why is this even a thing? So, and I'll I guess, as you know, a bit of a background in sort of social media with barbecue. I really love cooking barbecue. So I did a bit of that, but it's amazing how much you get like torched on Facebook. If something doesn't look cooked the right way, or you're saying slightly the wrong thing, and they literally stop me from posting. I'm like, So
really?
yeah.
Even in barbecue, where someone's like passionate about.
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So like there's specifically in groups. There's certain groups, and it became like culturally, it's kind of what became the norm, where you would just and it's a little bit of tongue in cheek, but then it's just you can't. It just frightens most people from doing it. That's so for my development in this space. Okay, now I'm doing this podcast, but also being able to jump on stage and present things and things like that. A lot of that was practiced in the barbecue space. So all that time was like doing Instagram live stuff, which took a lot of bravery and a couple of gin and tonics, and a lot of stage stuff in Meatstock, which is a barbecue festival that goes on in Australia. All that stuff gave me this ability to go, okay, and you're almost like cutting my teeth in sort of not so professional realm, so it's a little bit easier. But certainly, I guess what I'm trying to get at is that it's really important to start.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just iterate, change, because your first one is never going to be good as your 10th one, and your 10th time is never going to be as good as your 100th time, because you're just going to keep getting better, and it's going to be more natural.
Yeah.
So I like that. I really do like that, and it ties it. It can work for every business, really.
Definitely. And I think this loops into one of my life mottos, which is feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah.
And it's definitely something that I've had to practice over time.
Have you got the tattoo?
I don't.
Sorry.
Maybe I should. It's one that I have had to practice over my life as well. And, finding the right channels that work for you, not every channel works for every person. And that's it. I think it's really interesting how you've talked about, Instagram Live with a pretty broad subject in barbecue, which would attract probably global audiences, to then moving into the podcast medium, which is almost a really nurturing and like opt-in space versus like with those kind of broadcast channels, on wide-reaching algorithms, to something that you're creating a really close-knit, tight community where people are going to find you and follow you.
Yeah.
And I think just finding that groove, for some people it is, the spoken medium. Some people it might be video. Other people might just be comfortable like starting with a photograph and, a caption.
Yeah.
So where's your audience? Where are they playing? Like, don't be on YouTube if everyone is on Facebook.
Yeah.
And we talked about Facebook being a bit dead, but Facebook is still thriving for the right audience.
Yeah.
So just.
And those groups are powerful.
Absolutely.
Powerful. And if you can be authentic in there,
the
impact is amazing, I reckon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you can have reach. So are you just being yourself and participating in groups, commenting, engaging, starting discussions? That's being a top contributor in a Facebook group is part of, a strong strategy. Yeah.
That's all right. I just remembered all the local neighborhood groups that I'm in. They're good. Anyway, I won't get into it. I want to do a shout out though for so there's a orthodontists here in Geelong, Braces and Faces.
Yeah.
Their owners, I forget his name, I feel really bad, but it's not Paul Buchholz, who I used to do work for back in the day, but he does like some great, like he's front and center. So if you think traditional orthodontists, they're usually back of house. They don't want to do it. I've worked with a few over the time, and that's fine. But this guy has really made an effort to, I guess, break that media cycle. Oh, not break the media cycle, but break that facade and jump out and be in front of the camera. And I think it's really cool. So I sort of follow them on Instagram and on Facebook and stuff, purely because they're an old client back in the day. But yeah, it's just really cool to see them stepping out and doing that, especially in that space where just traditionally you just wouldn't see the orthodontist come in front of camera.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah.
So, and it's just so cool to see.
And that's quite that's where this stuff can be quite revolutionary for particularly for businesses. Like, people are scared about going to the orthodontist. Like, that's not actually a pleasant experience for most people.
Yeah.
And, you know, even kids going along, but if you can show them, like, hey, check this out. Like, this is what your orthodontist
He's a
look
cool
like.
dude.
And see how he's friendly and fun, and like, look at how he's talking about this. That becomes interesting, and it kind of reduces the friction between the engagement, and it builds positive sentiment and trust with whether, you know, the parent or the child, or, you know, both. You know, these kind of things. Yeah, we don't need to just look at, say, well, we're a dentist. We don't do social media.
Yep.
It would be easy to say that. You know, people come to us because they need to come to us, but you want people to come to you.
And it becomes a point of difference, right?
And that's the difference between running a business and building a brand.
Yeah.
Right there. You know, like, we want that affinity. We want that excitement. You know, when someone thinks about an orthodontist in Geelong, we want them to think about us.
Yeah. And that's so true. Another one's doing, like, I think, seamless bookkeeping. They're doing a little bit more on socials as well. And the guys from Recreate, their stuff is unreal. I keep telling them this too. Every time I see them, I'm like, I love your videos. But they do this thing where obviously they've got a bunch of B-roll content. They've got a bunch of content, so they can use a lot of B-roll. And it's literally just, it's either Ben or Job or one of the guys from the team talking to the camera.
Yes.
And they're saying, this week on Recreate, we caught up with blah, 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 this person, we filmed this, we filmed that, and it's all B-roll, cut into it. Little summary, goes on Instagram, goes on Facebook, goes on LinkedIn. But like, I'm like, that is brilliant.
Yeah.
Because you get an insight to who they're working with, what they're doing, that they're active, and they produce good content.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, just ticks all these boxes for me to go like, yeah, I want to work with those people. And
that's one of the things that I often talk about when designing content strategy with clients, is that concept of show, don't tell.
Yes.
And so when you're telling people, I'm really good at this, and we do this, and I have this, it's a very different message to just showing what we're doing.
Yeah.
And that authentic storytelling, it's easy. It's actually easier to show stuff when you're doing it.
Yeah.
It's just figuring out a way to capture that, or getting in the habit and routine and rhythm of doing that.
And that's what I was speaking to Ben just yesterday. I was at a business award, business excellence award thing. So I'm on the chairman board. I should know the titles a bit better.
Geelong Business Excellence Awards.
But it was that, but it was the post awards ceremony,
cool.
like a celebration yesterday, and we talked about it. It's like any business can, like you said, any business can do it. And then it's just how do you set yourself up to capture that B-roll ultimately, right? Like if you're like painting something off your, I mean, I think someone in the trades is someone that's a fair thing you could do, like painting all these little bits and pieces, capturing 10 seconds of video here and there, and then wrapping it up. And I know that as a business owner, and when you're in the business and you're working on and in the business at the same time, it's difficult, but it is doable. Is where I'm coming from, and bringing it all together can be simple too with all the phones these days.
Yeah, yeah, and it's there in our pockets. It's in all of our pockets. But I will admit, I am the worst at remembering to do this for myself. As I sit here going, I must take a little video of us doing this at the end.
And look, and CapCut is awesome too.
Yeah,
just
CapCut.
like, oh man, the stuff I do.
It's brilliant. Yeah, the templates are all there. It's in your pocket.
Yeah, boom,
free.
boom, you're done.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's on desktop, it's just, this is not a shout out to CapCut, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely a great tool. I absolutely love it as something that just gets rid of all the fluff, and it's not expensive and just gets the job done.
Yeah.
I'm a practical guy.
And with this stuff, it's like, I think a practical tip for some of our listeners who are trying to navigate this stuff for themselves before they're potentially ready to engage, a Recreate or an agency or something, would be, done is better than perfect.
Yeah.
That just begin, that don't stress too much over the finesse of and the edit and the sound and the music, because the paralysis that you can get into when you're trying to do this yourself and make it perfect can just limit the progress.
Yeah.
So get it out there. It might be
iterate.
correct.
Yeah. And also, just this is something I always sort of come back to is like, okay, you're making a video. It's 30 seconds, a minute long. And if it's going to take you hours to make and people are only going to watch it, like maybe 200 people see it, like that's a waste. Like just get something out there to build the brand, build the content up and then make it better.
Yeah.
Because and then if you're spending a lot of money on videos or time to make one video, it's just social media doesn't work like that.
No,
you just you gotta have this library of stuff that you can pump out, and not necessarily like hundreds of videos, but it's no point spending hours on one.
No, I agree. Yeah. Be consistent, evolve and iterate every time. And done is better than perfect.
But that's why I love this podcast, because for me, I think this captures things so much better.
Yeah.
The ability to have these conversations, but then also just to be able to make the videos of these as well. It's the perfect, for me, it's just like, it's my comfort zone. I like it.
I love it. I love that you love it. I can see that, it feels like, you found an authentic way to do this work, and it doesn't even feel like work.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't feel like, work for me, and it's like you're a natural at this.
Oh, thanks.
So.
Thanks. It's and this has been years of practice. I've done like 100 of these in the barbecue realm.
Have you?
Not podcasts, but like just interviews.
Yeah. Okay.
And like off the cuff live interviews at barbecue festivals. Like just like, oh hey, Billy Bob from Barbecue Comp, let's have a chat. Jump on. Oh, so how do you do it? And like just back and forth.
Yeah.
With the road gear and things like that. So it's just, that's the kind of stuff that has really helped me with this stuff.
Yeah.
But I find that stuff is just wild and woolly, where it's just like, this is, I don't know, a bit more grounded and deeper.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Because you can only get so much in 10, 15 minutes.
Definitely.
But good way to build a community, by the way. Just you bought that community piece in that sense. But even in that barbecue space, like to be able to, the people you rally around you when you start to build this, because you're telling people stories, and I don't know, people just, it's just such a nice way. People could connect and go like, oh, cool. And you're telling stories of people that may not necessarily ever tell their story.
Yeah.
And especially in a space where, I mean, barbecue's big, but it's not that big in Australia. And there's, in that space, there are people that do, say, competition barbecue that spend hours and spending dollars and just playing in that place. And it's just nice to capture stories like that.
Yeah.
People's passion. But it's good learning for me anyway, back in the day.
Yeah. Well, it's growth, isn't it?
Well, yes. Beyond growth, you might
growth.
say. It's like the movie when they say the name of the movie in the movie. You're like,
Yeah. Yes. Or you read the book title in the book.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And I guess, I mean, what's next? What's
good
next
question.
For you?
Well, interestingly, when you build a brand that is, you yourself are the founder, one of the challenges, I think, limitations to growth is, doing all the things and needing to be available for all of the people. And so when I did rebrand to Made Great, part of that was around not it being about a collective, that the business and agency was going to be greater than Ware. And I think I have done that from a brand perspective and an external perspective, but being the leader of that brand, it's tricky to not be pulled into the heavy tactical stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think next for me is working on my own personal brand and splitting that out of the Made Great agency, model. And whilst I'll still be involved with the agency from a strategic level, less operationally and tactically, and being available more as a fractional CMO, leadership specialist, and being able to go in, do the juicy work that I love to do, the strategy stuff, work with organizations at a really strategic high level, and then tap out as they, don't require me anymore. And so that's been an exciting strategic process that I've been working through in the last couple of months, and I'm looking forward to in 2026 because, I think when you turn 40, which I did last year, it's a real kind of revelation of like, what does the next 20 years of my career look like? Yeah. Particularly when I've crafted my career myself. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Over 10 years. So I was kind of like, well, what does the next decade look like? How is this going to fit? And I'm really excited to start bringing that to life.
That's awesome. I really do enjoy the fractional space. Done a little bit of that, and it's, I don't know, it's challenging, but it's exciting at the same time, and it's nice to be able to add value.
Yeah.
But then, like you said, step away. Like, okay, cool. You've got this now.
You've got this. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And most organizations do. Like, it's kind of that fundamental, ethos of Made Great, where it's like we come in as our experts and you guys have got it there, and you're kind of collaborating along the way. But this way you get to empower the organizations to do it themselves, and then step out and watch them thrive from the sidelines.
No, that's it. It's a nice feeling, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I guess before we wrap up, just what do you listen to these days? What are you reading at the moment? What are your go-to podcasts, perhaps?
Okay.
Besides this one, obviously. Just this episode specifically.
this is my favorite episode of any podcast ever. Look, I also love to listen to Geelong Business Stories with Mark and Bill. Yes. We love that. Yep. I've been fortunate enough to be interviewed by the gents on that one. I'm a bit when I listen to podcasts and read books, they're not business stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's you're the only one, but I guess I've come that across. So, what's your favorite non-business? Like, what's your favorite podcast?
So, I really love one. I use my podcast and book time as my mental escapism from being, chronically connected as a digital marketing leader. And so I go pure escapism fiction when it comes to books. Yep. And when it comes to podcasts, stuff like Shameless, Sentimental Garbage, which is about literally like pop culture and nostalgic movies and that sort of dissection of critical dissection of, sentimental garbage, like, Bend It Like Beckham or the new Taylor Swift album or something.
Yeah.
News podcasts, to keep up with the latest, or I'm a bit of a true crime fiend and I love Case File.
Oh, you're the second guest who've said that.
Really? Yeah.
So Ren from Microkeeper that was his podcast of choice too.
Yeah. So
I have to listen to it now.
I can't. The guy's voice, the anonymous host.
Ooh.
There's a podcast episode on Case File interviewing the anonymous host, and it's a really interesting story around someone who got into podcasting really early. It was through an injury and he was kind of couldn't work for a couple of months and he just wanted to start a podcast.
Yeah.
But now his podcast is like the greatest true crime podcast in the world. Like it's amazingly successful.
That's awesome.
He's never revealed his identity in 9 years or something.
Okay, I've got to listen to this.
Yeah. So it's really cool. Yeah, so sorry I can't add some really insightful
that's okay.
Diary of a CEO or...
No, that's good. That's my jam. That's
I mean, I jump into those ones every now and again.
They're just... I shouldn't say they're long because these are pretty long conversations ourselves, but they can be massive to consume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think a podcast needs to go for 3 hours.
No. Maybe an hour and 30-ish. Maybe.
Yeah. An hour and 35 and 12 seconds.
No, awesome. Kate, it's been so good to have a chat to you. All the best with 2026. And I guess that directional changes you're doing. And thanks so much for coming on Beyond Growth.
Thank you so much for having me. It was really fun.